Guys, welcome to the Only Child Review. You're joining us here on a lovely, somewhat overcast day with a good friend of mine. We've known each other for a good while, and today's discussion is about the food service industry and our experiences in it. We're looking at it retrospectively. We've both been there, we've both done that, and if you would please kind of, what's your experience with it? What have you done?
Well, I started working in restaurants when I was 16.
Okay.
I guess, or food service. Then I started working in a restaurant when I was 17. Then I worked in a restaurant until I was almost done with graduate school, so.
Okay, so that's a lot of experience.
Yeah, I think I started out as a hostess. In fact, I know I did.
Okay.
Hostess.
What sort of establishment? Hostess is kind of high, not high end, but kind of a full service restaurant, which is say, you know, waiters, bussers.
Right. Well, I started in fast food.
You did?
You want to talk about that? I don't know if you call that a restaurant.
Food service, man. I've worked fast food, and it's definitely part of the mix.
Yeah, I started in fast food at ice cream, which is considerably better than a hamburger place, for sure. But I did gain about 25 pounds.
Awesome. On which flavor?
Actually, the cookie dough topping, not exactly.
Oh, just the top stuff. Yeah.
But, it was worth it. I didn't care.
Totally.
And then after I got done with that, then I was let's see, hostess, waiter, busser.
You were a busser?
Yes.
Oh.
Hostess, food runner.
Yeah.
Waiter.
Wow.
Then waiter, expo, and hostess again.
Wow.
Oh no!
I
Then
didn't know
I was a cocktail waitress and another waiter, and that was it.
I didn't know you had all that.
Oh yeah, I worked a lot of jobs, a lot more than you'd think.
A lot more than I did.
Yeah.
Wow. I've worked as a my personal context with the food service would be we're joined by the dog. Solid.
Yes.
Solid.
He hasn't worked in a restaurant, but he knows what it's all about.
Right. Certainly eats food constantly. Yeah, I've got experience as a busser and a server or a waiter, same thing, and I think that's actually it. And a cook. I was a cook.
Okay, yeah.
I was a cook at fast food. So fast food pizza.
I did wash dishes for a little bit too, just a little while.
Wow.
One place I worked, yeah.
There were two particular roles in the food service that you mentioned that I don't know if people are familiar with, and that would be the busser.
Right.
And also, what is the other? The expo?
Expo.
What exactly are these things?
So busser is just whoever cleans your table.
Okay, it's the person who now
Pick up the dirty dishes, wipe it down.
Okay. Okay.
And then the expo is actually, you only see that in the chain restaurants.
Okay.
What it is,
that.
it's where any restaurant has a particular way that plates have to be displayed.
Okay.
So
Garnishes and so on.
right. So all the sauce always has to be at 11 o'clock, and the and the meat has to be at the bottom in the center or whatever.
That's
so
fantastic.
It's the expo's job to know how every plate is supposed to be arranged and arrange it.
That's fantastic.
Because if you don't do it according to the way they want it, then if
Right.
anyone ever came in there from the actual corporation, you'd be in trouble.
Right. Exactly.
So no one else can touch the food except the expo to line it up on the plate.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That would explain why I kind of got my hand slapped once. I never worked expo, but when I was working at one of these similar chains, sure enough, dude was like, "Get away from the plate!" It's like,
Yeah,
whoa.
only the chains. No one
Yo.
else cares. But
All right.
yeah, I'd say probably like we were talking about that movie Waiting. I think that was probably more indicative of what it's like to work in a chain. In that movie, they work at a
Okay.
place called Shenanigans, which is obviously supposed to be Bennigan's.
Okay.
But I worked at another chain. I don't know if you want to mention what it was, but
You can use names just for our conversations. I know what we're talking about. I'll probably believe it, but
okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just one of those chains where they serve really nasty food, but people eat there anyway. I don't know
awesome.
why.
Awesome.
That was the place
I've worked at a couple of those.
That was probably the place that was most like the place on the restaurant in the movie where people would regularly drop food on the floor and pick it up, put it on people's plates.
Yo, see
I once watched them clean the grill and spray grill cleaner all over somebody's steak, and they just served it to them anyway.
Are you serious?
It was awful.
Oh my! And this is a reputable chain. This is a place where people enjoy eating.
Well, I don't know. Whenever people ask me what's good, I'd be like, nothing. You don't want to eat here.
And you work there as a waitress?
I was a waitress, and then I actually demanded that I start becoming a hostess because I made such poor money as a waitress because
yeah,
the management wasn't very good. So to save money, they only staffed 2 people at a time in the kitchen.
Wow.
So the tables would never turn because people wait forever for their food.
Exactly, yeah.
But instead of staffing more people in the kitchen, they just staffed us a bunch on the floor. So we'd have like 14 waiters on with 2 tables apiece and 2 people in the kitchen and empty tables everywhere and still line at the door because
Right.
people couldn't sit down because they wouldn't have any food to eat.
Yeah, and the problem there is the manager's like, well, we have to have crisis management, but they ensure that there's always a crisis. You know?
Right.
Because that's what waiters do.
The part I hate would be whenever you'd be standing around going, there's too many people here, and they'll go, you got time to lean, you got
time to clean.
You know what?
Oh,
Why don't
man.
you not have so many people here so we're not leaning or cleaning?
Right, exactly.
Why don't we actually serve people food? That'd be great.
Well, and there's that too, that where you're like, you're right, I do have time to lean. For $2.13 an hour, I can scrub under your tables. Fantastic. Thank you.
Well, I would always tell them, $2.13 an hour is me showing up. That's pretty much all you get for $2.
That's totally what I said. Yeah, you're buying my time.
Here. That's it.
Exactly.
But anyway, that place, I didn't make any money because we were always overstaffed on the floor, so we'd never get our tables.
You'd have to,
So I told them I wanted to be a hostess instead. Which I think there was one night where they were really short on hostess. They asked me if I would come in, and I said I'll only do it for $9 an hour.
Wow.
And they're like, okay, we'll do it.
Awesome.
But then, since I was on the computer as a hostess for $9 an hour, I started picking up shifts from all the other hostesses because they're all 15, no one to work.
Right.
So I would pick up shifts with them all the time. $9 an hour is better than I was making waiting tables. So
wow, yeah.
So I picked up all the hostess shifts I could.
That's awesome.
And then finally the manager figured out they were paying me a lot more than anybody else. They told me I couldn't host this anymore.
Bastards.
But then again, one night they got screwed and they need somebody coming to an expo, so they asked me if I would do it, and I said I'll do it for $9 an hour.
Awesome.
So then I started doing expo instead. So I tried to avoid waiting tables as much as I could, which wasn't hard because at that place and a lot of corporate places, at least in my experience, they make the schedule based on your PPA, which is your per person average.
Person average. Okay, so it's basically the amount of money spent on food at a particular table, broken down by the number of people eating at that table.
Right. So if you have 10 people and one night they all order steak,
okay,
well, your PPA just went way up.
Right, because
But
steak
if you have
is
10
costly.
people and they're all old ladies and they all order half of an Oriental chicken salad,
yeah.
then your PPA just goes way down.
What's funny is we never worked at the same place together, certainly not at the same time, and yet everything she says resonates with resolute clarity because it's the same everywhere, even down to the dish. When she says the Oriental chicken, I'm just going...
The most popular item on the menu, by the way.
Yeah, right. It's just, yeah, and it's served at places that really shouldn't be serving that sort of dish.
Well, I tried to explain to the old people, too, that all it was just coleslaw mixed with the fried chicken tender on top. It really, on average, it was the item they made the most money on.
Yeah.
Because it cost them nothing.
I was going to say, those are cheap ingredients.
Yeah, so they try to get us to push that all the time.
Right.
My favorite way they would try to get us to push that stuff was we would play bingo some days. Because we would be so bored. But the bingo were different food items.
Aha.
On this bingo board.
Nice.
And you had to sell them to mark them off your board.
Right.
So when you would sell a certain number or whatever, then you get, your choice of side work at the end of the shift.
Ooh.
So instead of doing dressing, you might only have to do silverware.
Nice. Nice. Your
awesome.
average 50 roll or so?
50?
50?
Right, something like that.
Yeah.
It's anything to avoid dressing was really what I would want to do.